Okay, I think we can start now. Good evening to all. Can we? Good evening to all my esteemed panelists, my seniors, and all those who joined us live. It's a real pleasure to have such wonderful panelists on board with such a topic which is so less spoken. I'm Meenakshi, ma'am. We can see you in the car. Anyway, it's really nice of you to join. Hope you reach in time. To coming back to our topic today, first I would like to talk about Pinkishi. It is a registered NGO. It has started on 1st of May 2017, and we have about 50 branches. Basically, we all have to agree to the fact that such organizations actually are doing silently so much of work for the society. And you, me, being leaders of such big schools, I think we need to also venture into such be beside such organizations to see that their message is also spread out by people like us. As school leaders, we've seen that we can mold the future generation to a great height because we have the young generation with us. And what we teach today will be what we can expect from the globe tomorrow. If we talk of menstrual hygiene, I think this is still a taboo for many. And it is often seen that nobody wants to speak it loud. So, here today, we've gathered here to talk about what is happening in the school. What are we doing? How are we playing our part to prepare our students, to prepare our girls and boys and everyone to know more about? Because we do sex education in school. How many of us consider menstrual cycle discussion as part of sex education? So together we have come here on this platform to show, oblique discuss what we are doing ourselves and what we can do. We can say that even today, 45% people are ashamed of talking about it. 25% of children, quit schools. And there are so much of children, 6%, in fact, if I take the data, that they have not heard about sanitary napkins, sanitary pads. So let us be open in our discussion today. May I start with Ms. Sudeshna Ghoshal, who's been in the education sector for such a long time. Ma'am, over to you. If you could just update us on what you feel on this topic, or what you can tell us, what is there going on around the world, across in your schools, in your areas, about how we deal with such a topic. Over to you, ma'am. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Shuchitra. Good evening to one and all present over here. Thank you will be a lesser word to describe the commendable effort of Pinkishi Foundation on spreading menstrual hygiene. Awareness and distributing, I have seen from the website that free reusable sanitary pads to slums and rural areas. It's a commendable effort. My highest regards to Mr. Arun Gupta, the man behind Pinkishi. Thank you, my dear friend Suchitra, for bringing us together on this platform to address on such a burning social problem. Distance doesn't matter really. Though Suchitra and I are stationed in two different cities, technology has brought us together. Thank you. Let's start. One of the most challenging times for learners is puberty, I feel so. When the body goes through multiple changes all at once as it makes the transition to adulthood. It is not a problem to be solved, but it is simply a time of accelerated physical growth and sexual development experienced by every human. It is a time of rapid physical, psychological, and cognitive changes when gender norms and identity are being shed. Girls report experiencing stress, shame, embarrassment, confusion, and fear due to lack of knowledge and inability to manage their menstruation. Boys also report feeling low self esteem and feeling out of control of events in their lives, which manifests itself through anger. For girls, puberty means the onset of menstruation. It is a natural fact of life and monthly occurrence for 1.8 billion girls, women, transgender, men, and non binary persons of reproductive age. Yet, millions of menstruates across the world are denied the right to manage their monthly menstrual cycle in a dignified, healthy way. In many contexts, menstruation is considered a private issue, making it difficult to speak about it in public. For instance, in a classroom, even many girls are not properly prepared. Numerous studies, particularly from low income countries, show that a very high number of girls start menstruating without having any idea what is happening to them and why. Since parents find it very difficult to speak about it because it is a very sensitive and sexual issues, they can't discuss it with their children, even while admitting it that it is also the responsibility of them. So schools have a role in puberty education. This role involves more than just educating boys and girls because they are undergoing changes. And I think that educating boys creates an understanding that can lead to a healthier social environment and gender equality in schools. Since we know that children are there in co-educational schools, so it is absolutely necessary. The biggest challenge out of what we have seen turned out to be social taboos and myths related to menstruation that was widespread in the community. I've seen that in India, 45% girls are ashamed by taboo. And notably, you know that women are considered dirty during menstruation and are socially excluded. They are not allowed and not supposed to bath, which can lead to hygiene and health problems. After menarche, girls are faced with challenges related to the management of menstruation in public places. 23% quit schools. Puberty education will simply increase the percentage of attendance. The issue of safety for girls is significant in relation to the onset of menses and the subsequent need for menstrual hygiene management in school. School curricula should cover the topic of menstruation and puberty in a very, very girl friendly way. Menstruation education, as part of comprehensive sexuality education, should be integrated into different subjects within the official curriculum, we feel. For example, we can include it in biology, sport and health education, social studies, and into extracurricular activities, personal development, or life skill based subjects. The online platform can be open to have a safe space for students and teachers to feel free to discuss sensitive topics. It can enable learners to access information and improve their knowledge in an easy, user friendly way to find out about sensitive topics and get answers to embarrassing questions in private. School counselors can play a very important role over here. Schools should provide girls with comprehensive knowledge about the range of menstrual hygiene materials available to allow girls to individually and consciously decide what to use. 6% of girls in India, they don't know, haven't heard about sanitary pads. They somehow manage. Separate washrooms should be available for boys and girls, male and female teachers. Hand washing facilities should be inside the latrine unit with soap and safe water available at all times. The facility should be accessible to all girls, boys, and staff, including those with mobility limitation. Those are children with special needs. They should have proper access to the washroom. I feel also a small mirror should be placed in the latrine to help girls check for spotting or leaking and ensure everything is in order before leaving. A mechanism be established for the collection and disposal of sanitary protection materials such as in a pit or incinerator. And what I feel that capacity building program should be provided to parents of young girls and also to teachers. Teachers can be role models. They can advocate for healthy school environment. They can guide students in need of services, resources for accurate information. Mentors and effective instructors can help in proper understanding. The training module should be so developed where it should include the hygiene, sanitation, and sexual and reproductive health, including puberty, and it should be embedded in a larger health curriculum that promotes healthier lives, relationships, and overall gender equity. That is absolutely necessary. The curricula and teaching methods should be adapted to different stages of development of children and take into account their evolving capacity. Suppose for classes 1 and 2, we can keep we can keep certain portions in such a way so that they can understand or they can comprehend, they can feel what is to be done, how it is to be handled. So, teachers and school heads will need to learn to adapt to circumstances and be taught the skills to communicate the reasons and policies for dealing with sensitive issues to parents and other community members who may be resistant also. So, as school, we should spread it in the community also how the children can handle. Since sexuality is an integral part of human life, children and young people have the right to receive reliable, science based, and comprehensive information about it. Sexuality education in schools is today all the more necessary as children, in most cases, can and do obtain information otherwise, in particular through the internet and social media. So it is worth emphasizing that sexuality education in schools comes as complement to and not a replacement of what may be shared by parents at home. It is essential to prevent and combat sexual abuse against children, sexual violence, and at the same time sexual exploitation. I think it is absolutely necessary from the very tender age to make them understand what is bad touch, what is good touch. So we can start from the pre-primary section. Such kind of education teachers can help in making them understand. I feel this is absolutely necessary.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Sudeshna ma'am. You've really expressed it so well. What takeaway we could talk of is yes, there are many who feel it's very unhygienic and therefore they don't even take care of themselves and they are put in one room, oblique, they're not supposed to touch things. We need education there. You also mentioned very well that we need parents and teachers to play a vital role in teaching our students. That's an excellent thing that you've said. And I feel, yes, we should go now bold about it, thinking that our teachers should approach, there should be a committee where they have to educate some girls, and even they themselves, the senior students, can motivate the younger ones, because these days we have seen that period starts at a very tender age. Maybe
That's
even
true.
in classes where you and me started in class 8. Now we can see in class 6, 5, even 4 to that matter, where a child is so small and unable to handle. And therefore, this has become a necessity that both parents and teachers intervene and teach our children. So well said. Thank you so much. And I'll come back to you once again after I finish with the other panelists. Now, I would request Dr. Sharda Muni to be on the platform. She's a distinguished educationist, a visionary who loves to inspire and encourage the young minds. So nice, ma'am. It's beautiful. And she takes steps towards the goals and come through with flying colors. Beautiful. And I'm sure today's discussion also will show us beautiful colors ahead. She's an achiever of many awards. And over to you, ma'am, today to enlighten us with your thoughts. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Suchitra. That was wonderful. And thank you for this wonderful platform that Pinky Shay and you personally have provided for all of us. Sudeshna ma'am, we were really inspired by the insights that you have presented. So let me start. Good evening, everyone. I think today we are delving into a very important aspect of the adolescent life, sexual and menstrual education, which unfortunately is never truly and properly addressed. So I'm just going to share a little about a PPT which I have made so that everybody can see. I hope is it clear to everyone? Can you all see that?
We can see it.
Yeah.
It's not yet started, but we can see the black spot on the PPT. It's going to start soon. Yes, Ruchi, we need your help.
Is it clear? Now is it coming?
Just hold on for 2 minutes. It was there when we gave a trial.
So, Dr. Shraddha,
Yes. So we have started sharing. I can see it on my screen. Ruchi ma'am, can you just help us out over here?
so basically
Is it
you need
visible
to
now?
start. No, it is not visible right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now we can see only black. I mean, the
Yeah.
PPT hasn't started yet.
It started now?
No, not. I'm afraid it is not.
Just a second. Yeah.
Sure.
It started now?
No, you need to share again, ma'am.
Yes, now it
Yeah.
is.
No,
Yeah, right. Just a second. Okay. So one has to understand that menstrual education and sex education are interlinked. Universally, when the boys reach their puberty, it is seen as a powerful and positive change. But this is not the case when girls start menstruating. They are considered, as ma'am said, they're considered impure, dirty on those days. Now, when we share the concerns, quite obviously, both boys and girls, it helps remove gender segregation. In co-ed schools, students need to be taught together about puberty, menstruation, physical changes as a part of sex education so that they are comfortable and not awkward or embarrassed about things. Because this is a major concern that we have. Students get very awkward, they're very embarrassed, they are not able to discuss things with either their peers or anybody who can help them out. As a part of sex education, students have to be made aware of body shaming, inappropriate touching, its negative impact. The channels of communication need to be open, and teaching students about sex education, the body processes, should be
Ma'am.
tackled in a more inclusive way. Yes, so that boys and girls are part of open discussions. This is a great way to reduce crimes against girls and women in society. Now, this is an important. Now, we come to the role of parents. How do the parents prepare their children for this? The primacy of the role obviously cannot be ignored. But the issue over here is how do they talk about menstruation and about sex, which is still a taboo topic? We cannot bank only on schools to teach our children crucial life lessons on sexuality. It is the responsibility of every parent to build healthy, sexuality about in their children, educate them about sex abuse and sex so that children can have sound sexual identities. Like everything else, home is where the heart is, or in this case, where the first lesson is. For girls, especially, mothers are the all important first teachers. Everyone knows the importance of menstruation, but they shy away, they hesitate in talking about it to children. Quite obviously, if this is the message which the child gets, that is the value that he learns. And out of curiosity, the children try to find out about menstruation on their own, and many a times they get wrong information. Here the parents' role comes into play. They have to be supportive, they have to prepare them for the times ahead. The child should be told about menstruation in a gentle and positive manner. A child who's prepared thus would be able to help out not only her friends, I mean herself, of course, but her friends too in times of need. She needs to be prepared about what to expect during those days so that she knows what to expect. She does not panic and reacts calmly. Puberty is a critical juncture between childhood and adulthood and is a time of growing, changing, gaining reproductive power. There will be a sudden and obvious changes in teenagers, and it is an effective and significant event in the lives of girls. Without adequate guidance, transition from this stage of life can create numerous challenges for adults and girls, families, and communities. In fact, many teenage girls express puberty as an unpleasant experience and consider menarche as most unpleasant incident in adolescence. I think many of us remember, okay, this was the incident. Later, of course, you can laugh about it, but then, at that point in time, I think everybody remembers. So this was the time when I had my first period, and what happened, and whether it was, mostly it is unpleasant. So this is something which we need to remove. Inadequate preparation for menarche creates a poor attitude towards menstruation and poor menstrual practices. Training on how to deal with the maturity process is a necessity for safe passage of this critical period. Now, how to start the conversation? Now, I came across this little clip, this little picture which you can see. It's a WhatsApp forward. So we can safely say that, talking to children about these things is definitely not easy, but we can arm ourselves. Next slide. Yeah. So how do we arm ourselves? First, be comfortable with yourselves. Address your own comfort, prepare yourself, address your own discomfort, prepare yourself. Children who have a comfortable equation with their parents and are able to ask them questions without discomfort make better choices. This is only possible if you are comfortable with yourself. On the other hand, if you have children who bank only on friends, porn sites, media, obviously their attitude itself is unhealthy. There are many books and online resources available, but it is up to us to read it, to equip ourselves, to be able to educate our children and answer their questions. Parents should practice responses so that they are able to answer without discomfort. When do you start? Building a healthy sexuality is not a one-time conversation. Sex education, in as ma'am also mentioned, that it ought to start as early as possible and continue throughout the growing years, sharing age-appropriate content at each stage. You can teach children that some body parts like are private, name them correctly, like the penis or the vagina. This can be done for even 2 to 3 year olds. Name private parts just as the way you label ears and eyes. This will ensure that there is no miscommunication if a child later tells you that someone touched his, her, or him inappropriately. When a child asks a question, it is always a good time to talk about what they have asked. Children should be told about the difference between a healthy friendship between boy and a girl getting abused, misused. A child should be taught to draw a line at a certain level. A child at a certain age should be aware of the outcome of unprotected sex. Next, how much to say? Uh, this is age dependent and something every parent needs to decide for their own child. What are the messages we are sharing with them? Do our responses make them comfortable enough to ask doubts? As they grow older, we could add details to the information. Our responses offer us a great opportunity to build values we want to pass on to our children. This learning is a part of life skills and integral to the kind of adult we want our younger generation to become. Talk about puberty before it starts. Girls usually attain puberty between ages 8 to 13. Of course, over a period of time, we have seen that menarche has started setting in quite early, and boys from 11 to 14 years. It is advisable to talk about menstruation not only to girls but also to boys. If the boys are aware, then they will be more sensitive towards their mothers, sisters, and other girls. We could explain to our sons that instead of making a fun of a girl with a stained skirt, they could bring it to her attention directly or through a teacher or her friend. Several books are available to explain puberty that are designed to be read by children and parents together. Children observe how comfortable their parents are to talk and handle questions about sex, the way parents express their own sexuality, and the way the parents physically interact with each other and them. All these aspects influence a child's sexual development and paves the path to a healthy attitude towards it. The child, again, this is a slight repetition because Sudeshna was also touched on this, that myths and taboo, which is associated. I think this we cannot stress on this enough that there are so many myths and so many things which are taboo about menstruation, about sexual sex education, and sexual practices, that it is very important that these taboos and myths they be addressed as soon as possible, because it's only then that we can do away effectively with them. Fathers, brothers in the family must also be told about menstruation so that in the absence of a mother, the child can approach them if she faces any problem. The importance, obviously, of good and balanced diet should be told to the child so that she knows that, okay, this is a part of your growing up, and obviously, everything that what you consume is going to affect your body. Parents are the first teachers of their children. They are the most significant influence in enabling their children to grow, mature, form healthy relationships. All schools should work closely with parents when planning and delivering these subjects. So, this is where you find a bond between the parents and the schools. Schools should ensure that parents know what will be taught and when. Schools can build a good relationship with parents on these subjects over time. For example, you can invite parents into school to discuss what will be taught, address any concerns, and help support parents in managing conversations with their children on these issues. This can be an important opportunity to talk about how these subjects contribute to wider support in terms of pupil well being and keeping children safe. Right. So I think I've covered exactly how I feel that parents can deal with children who are of that particular age.
So well expressed, Sharda ma'am. It is really beautifully said. You've pointed out such important topics, and though it's a repetition, but that is the truth that it is a taboo for many. And I think it's
Yeah.
time that we, as leaders, we as principals, take it up and ensure that this taboo goes off. Not only that, another point which we have very clearly, categorically mentioned is the relation that schools should be having in even teaching not only the students but
Yeah.
also teaching the parents in collaboration with both supporting the parents and getting to know, having the brothers or like the fathers all in on board. Basically, we need to be open with such discussions, not shy away, and do not make it unpleasant discussion. If a child can get a
Yes.
cut and if the child can bleed, the child can
Mhm.
also bleed from that private part. So we need to
Yes.
tell everyone that this is natural and we need to take care of that. Thank you so much, ma'am. Beautifully expressed. I'll come back to you. Our third speaker for today is Miss Madhumita Sengupta, again from the City of Joy. 20 years being in the education sector. She's been the principal of reputed schools of Kolkata, Army School, Public School, and Ashok Hall Girls. She has got the commendation from a beautiful contribution to the Army Welfare Associations. Great, ma'am, and now you're heading Delhi Public School. So, with such experience, ma'am, what is your intake, and how can we learn from you that what is the role of a leader or the role of a school in this education where children are taught what is actually menstrual cycle and how they should be taking care of it so that they are aware much before they fall into that particular group and they know how to tackle. Over to you, ma'am. Stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Suchitra, ma'am. First of all, let me wish a very good evening to all our viewers over here. It's very encouraging. I was just reading the comments from
Yeah.
several viewers and continuously that you are supporting the discussion that is happening over here. It's a topic very close to our heart, but at times very far from our lips, perhaps. It's not quite spoken about. Now, to tell you personally, I have been associated with schools which were meant for only girls or only boys, as well as co-educational schools. Every kind of school has its own kind of challenge, particularly when we talk about sexual health education. I would, my learned friends on screen, Sudeshna ma'am and Sharda ma'am, have already focused on various pertinent issues related to the topic. But I would like to focus upon the role of the boy child, because when we are talking about menstruation and which primarily affects the girls, what is the role of the boy child in the school? How we need to educate the boys in the classrooms as co-learners and make the school environment a congenial one such that all the students grow happily and grow together. So when I'm talking about this, I'm a mother to a boy child. And trust you me, I have spoken about menstrual health with him at a very tender age. Because uh, personally speaking, I don't feel that there should be any, as ma'am just now pointed out, mother is the first teacher. So, as a mother, it is my role to tell my boy child that look, the girls in your friend circle, they have some difference in the bodily structures. Yeah, they might have some mood swings. They might stain their skirts at times, but there is no reason for you to think otherwise, and you never should bully them. So, with that, I will take up the discussion. See, we do not discuss about menstruation with boys at home or sensitize them in the schools. Still, we expect a lot of sensitive and supportive behavior from them. Statistically speaking, around 72% of the boys don't know exactly the reasons or the things behind a menstrual cycle of a girl. Majority of them know by hearsay, and others are they are guided by certain taboos like it's a disease, etc. And if you talk about the girls, practically, when I'm talking about, I'm not talking only about our city schools. If you look at the entire perspective of the country, 1 out of 2 girl child doesn't know before she actually starts with a menstrual cycle that what it is all about. Again, I'll draw a personal example. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was the first one in my class to start with my menstrual cycle. And trust you me, I thought I'm going to die. That was the fear in me. When I saw that I was staining and there was blood. Certainly, we have progressed enough. Now we are open. I would express my heartfelt gratitude to Pinkishi. Kudos to you to have taken up this topic and done such great work in this field, and to take this kind of a topic among the educators because it is important. If I may give you certain examples. Like in a study in 2018, uh, Delhi government, there were around 30 co-educational schools under the Delhi government who approached NGOs like Sachi Saheli to come and organize these workshops in co-educational schools. Now, prior to these, this NGO organized these workshops in all girls school. But now, today we are in 2021 and talking about 2018, where the government schools realized the need and the workshop started. Now, one particular incident is that there was a boy by the name of Priyansh Singh. He was in class 9, 14 years old, and it was the first time he heard that something like that happens in a girl's life. And in that workshop, what happened was that the number of questions raised were majorly from the boy students. And at the end of the workshops, there was no hesitation in the mind of the boys. They could freely talk to their girl counterparts in the classroom. The girls never hesitated to talk about menstruation or menstrual cramps or premenstrual symptoms. And they were together in the class with their the friends who were boys. Now, it continuously it happened like this, that another child from that workshop, at the end of that workshop, had when it was a pattern that these sanitary napkins were being distributed, and the NGO selected that the napkins will be distributed by the boys to the girls. So a step which is a very bold step at that time, considering that whenever girls started their menstrual cycle in the school and they were unprepared, they were made to go to the nurses and very quietly collect the napkin. And here it was made that no, it's something very natural and common, and it can be done when their friends in the class can distribute it to the girls. One of the boys, with the permission of the NGO, had taken a packet of this sanitary napkin at home for his mother, because he wasn't sure whether the mother was using cloth. But he
Oh,
heard that if the use of cloth happens and it is not hygienic enough, then the woman might fall ill, and the mother and the child could not take the risk of seeing his mother ill. So now what happened to the mother? Obviously, the child comes back home, takes out a packet of sanitary napkin, and gifts the mother. You can understand the kind of shock, that what is happening. We've never spoken. We've never been so free and frank. But it all ended when the mother was so affectionately hugging the boy and calling him "Pad Man." So this is how the social fabric can be realigned, and things can move on in a smoother manner. Now, spreading awareness in the society. We were talking about schools and the role of schools, and the role of parents. Of course, school plays a very, very vital role of orienting parents about talking freely to their children about menstrual cycles. At the very same time, the boys around that place, they had taken up on themselves to move around in their locality and orient their neighbors on the menstrual hygiene topic. So the school does not stop by only teaching things to the children. We actually we are the builders of the nation. How this is how the society grows. So this is how the thing moved on, and a very important thing that we should keep in mind is how to establish gender equality even before puberty. We were talking about puberty, post puberty time. Actually, when we ensure that in a school the boys and the girls sit together, that is the first step to establish gender equality. When they learn to know that they are peers and they are not divided by their sexual identities. If I'm talking about a country like ours, where it is a patriarchal society, majority of family decisions are taken by the men. If you again go by statistics, around 23% of women participate in the family decisions in states like Rajasthan, and 46% of women in Tamil Nadu. So if we go by this statistic itself, it is evident that men definitely play a big role in designing the social norms. Therefore, if we use the intelligence and the support of men in bringing about better menstrual hygiene management, and what we call is WASH, WASH, which is water, sanitation, and hygiene. So the importance of menstrual hygiene and health would be greater established. Because when I'm talking about this gender inequality index, why it comes up and why it is important for men to participate in this discussion is, like, if we go by the statistics, India was in the 98th position in 2006 and 108th position in 2015. That means not much of a progress, though we 2006 and 2015. So this is the scenario which we are seeing in our country. In countries which are economically poor or maybe developing, this divide is even more because of lack of facilities. There are schools in areas where the toilets in the schools are not separate for boys and girls, which is absolutely essential. There are schools in our country where water facility is not adequate, and you can very well understand that what is the plight of that girl child. There are schools where the toilet is not even equipped with a proper door or a shutter. So obviously, what's the outcome there? What happens then? The child is absent from school. Not only during that time, the child feels threatened, the child feels hesitant, and then there is a chance of school dropout. So in order to arrest all these problems, it is very much important that we focus on menstrual health education. Now, when coming to the next point of my discussion, that there are certain countries where the girl child feels that when she has started with her menstrual cycle, it is an indication that in order to save her life, she should start her sexual life. So just think of the taboo that is there in the mind of the child, and which is so very scary. So these are certainly the things that we need to arrest and need to look into. Now, if I'm talking into the three very basic factors where we should focus upon when we are particularly talking about educating the boy child towards menstrual health and well-being of the girls, there are three basic factors. First is a biological factor. That means when we need to understand, ma'am just now mentioned that could be done through integration through subjects like biology and social sciences. Now, in biological factor, what happens is that the boy needs to understand the basic anatomy of a girl child and why this menstruation happens. Most of the time, what happens is, in most of the biology classes, the topic of reproduction and menstruation, it is done in a very hush-hush manner and hurriedly. Like maybe the entire chapter takes around, say, 5 days, but that topic, the teacher is going to be quickly covering. So obviously it goes undiscussed, and there is a psychological barrier, unfortunately, where the boys don't feel very comfortable to talk to the lady teacher, and the girls don't find very comfortable to the male teacher when such topics are taken up. Therefore, they start growing with that myth. For them, menstruation is blood, menstruation has a lot of misconception, and it is considered a disease. But thinking of menstruation as a disease is itself a disease of the mind. The next topic which we should focus upon is the cultural rights. I am sure all of us, ladies on this screen, we have at some time or the other faced a situation where we were told that you're not allowed to worship because you're impure. And if it happens with people like us, who call ourselves the so-called educated lot, think about that lady in that remotest village, that little girl in that tiniest location who is deprived of water, who is deprived of taking a bath, who is deprived of sitting along with her family members, who is deprived of entering the kitchen and touching anyone. So this is the kind of uh, you know dirty, filthy kind of a mindset that people associate with menstrual cycle. So there is a complete social seclusion. Next thing is about the girls' behavior. Here we need to again explain to our boys that look, your best friend, she is undergoing a mood swing. She is not willing to talk to you. She is not willing to go to the field and play basketball during your break time. Not because she has decided to stop friendship with you. It is just because that this is one such day in the month where our health is not permitting. We have to ask our boys not to bully. If the girl is not feeling well, putting her head down with permission of the teacher, it is not because she is being lazy. It is not because that the teacher is being partial towards the girls. There are reasons. We need to educate our boys towards that. In reality, what happens is, in majority of the schools, there is one chapter in the textbooks called life cycle, which is usually avoided. Sadly, as school leaders, we also understand that there are places where study in school is extremely exam centric. Hardly we find a question on a question paper asking a boy about how you would react to the menstrual cycle of a girl who's studying in your class. I have never seen a question like that. I'm not sure whether my learned colleagues have ever seen. Therefore, this topic is avoided. So that is the sad situation. Now, uh, what we need to do is that there's a need to have deliberate engagement with the boys on matters concerning menstrual health so that they can in turn be more sensitive and supportive towards the girls. I'll just conclude by saying that let us not think that this is one such evening where we are speaking and then perhaps we will never look back into the topic. Let us take this as our responsibility as school leaders and take this forward, talk to our children, start from our own little spaces, and then move forward. I'm glad that this program is being featured live on social media. There are many, many learned friends, colleagues, many people who are watching this program. Each one of us have got a responsibility to share, and let us take it up sincerely and to the fullest of our capacity. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this opportunity.
So beautifully said, Madhumita ma'am. Really, I'm impressed. And in fact, we could see the comments as you said. Everyone is actually liking the way we are discussing. What you said was a deliberate engagement is required. And I think you've given the right statement that let us not forget after this discussion of today. Let
Yes,
us
very
make
correct.
sure that this discussion is carried forward and we do something what we are talking about. We do educate our students and ensure that they do not face problems tomorrow, be it a girl, be it a boy, be it a parent or a teacher. We all need to carry forward. Wonderfully expressed. I like the way you've expressed about WASH,
Yeah,
WASH.
that's
Beautifully
very
said.
nice. Yes.
Very, very well said. And of course, people have started. As you said, government schools have already started. Many privatized schools, good schools, big schools have, but then it's not enough. Not enough is being done because still now we see the percentage is so high who are unaware of this. That was really a very insightful topic, and the discussion was really good. Thank you so much. We have a fourth speaker, Mrs. Minakshi Narula. Just to tell you that I have been troubling her since evening. She was traveling, she was caught in the traffic jam, and yet she made it. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Minakshi Narula is a principal of Shemford Futuristic K-12 school. She's an inspiring academic leader, and she conducts various community outreach programs to reaching out the unreachable. So great by conducting workshops and summer programs for government school students, teachers, and of course, many private schools. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us time in spite of having such issues. We are really grateful. Over to you. We would like to listen up from your point of view. What exactly you can say about this particular program, that is menstrual education, a need for our students. Over to you, ma'am. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suchitra, ma'am. Actually, is really, I would like to say, talking about sex education in schools, talking about menstruation, and maybe other adolescence changes in the boys as well as in the girls, is really very important. It's really very, very important, but still it is considered as an elephant in the room, and everybody talks about this is really very important, but nobody would like to talk about it, right? I mean to say, if I would like to share with you, I mean, I have been a biology student, right? And even the same thing that Madhumita ma'am has already shared, even even while talking about learning about zoology and all till my graduation and all, and even those chapters they were skipped, or maybe we were told, okay, you can study about human reproductive system on your own. We will be talking about amphibians, talking about reptiles, spices, and all other things,
Not about
and we
this.
were told by the teacher that if you will be getting this kind of question in the paper, don't worry, there will be some optional questions as well. So need not to worry about it, right? So I mean, this is how we have been learning, right? But as I say, I mean, if talking about other subjects as well, right? Maybe they are all learning geography, mathematics, or whatever. I always say, like, today's children, they will not understand the way that we have been taught or we have been teaching, right? And they need, I mean, these 21st century learners, they are so very advanced, they know so many things, right? Even we are not aware. Today's children, they are very much aware of all those things, right? And here I would like to share my personal experience. My son has stepped into adolescence, and usually in our schools what is being happen is we used to conduct some kind of puberty sessions, though ma'am initially the first speaker has already shared, and maybe the second one, like there should be, I mean, boys should also be told about menstruation cycles as their girls are facing and all. But yes, we are conducting sessions, but we are conducting, at present we are conducting separately for girls as well as for the boys, right? We do make them aware, but at our age, let me tell you, nobody told us anything about it. Maybe if I talk about myself, my beginning of menstruation cycle in my life, it was really very scary, it was very worrisome, because nobody told me about all those things. And this is really, really very, very important for today's children. My he has just stepped into adolescence, and then I realized, maybe I will not be the right person to talk to him and all. So maybe I mean, school counselors and all, if they would be taking a session, and that he will be getting some good information, right information, I would like to say, related to, I mean, how to take care of all those things related to, you see, when he is going stepping into puberty, maybe nutrition, maybe hygiene, maybe because I saw him getting worried, like, I'm getting hairs here, I'm getting hair there, and why I'm feeling like that, and these kind of things when he is observing. Then let me tell you, like, I thought, because he cannot go to his school, also online classes are going on, and the things, these sessions have not been held on online till now that I have observed. And then I got a very good book for him, that was a comic book on for the boys, and I gifted him that book. I said, go and read this book, right? And he got so many, I mean to say, his doubts cleared after reading that book. And I mean, some kind of information really it is required. As the parents, as adults, we should give this information to our children. No doubt they are not getting this kind of information. This we And another, there it is certainly considered as a taboo. If we are thinking about, right now we all are discussing about whether sex education, whether talking about menstruation, or maybe night falls in boys and all should be discussed in the schools or not. First of all, teachers training would be required. Most of the teachers, they would be feeling shy, like, why to talk about this, how to talk about this, because in our life we have not experienced this thing. And another thing, I know very well, there would be so many concerns from the parent side as well. If I'm thinking like that, they would be, it, just a simple example, in a simple admission form, whenever there is a term written sex, right? Though there is a difference between sex and gender, but usually they say why it has been written, it should have been replaced with the word gender, though they don't understand the difference between gender and sex, right? And these terms, they are having different meanings. So I mean, they would be restricting a lot, they would be, I mean, creating a lot of hurdles, like there should not be sex education, because they might think like introducing sex education may provocate the feeling of having sex in children. You see, might be they think like that. So there can be certain restrictions and all. As a school, I would certainly suggest, I mean, there should be age appropriate sex education should be provided right from an early age, as ma'am has already said. Maybe first of all, naming the body parts correctly, right? That is the first step. And then slowly and gradually, I mean, before the onset of puberty, the whatever is required, that should be introduced, like what all things to be taken care of. So this is what I just want to say from my side. Like, I mean, uh, I would really want, I mean, the proper education to be given to the students. It should not be like that. I mean, they want this kind of education, but they are not getting it from proper sources. They are not getting it from adults. They are getting it from their peer group. They are learning from magazines nowadays. Obviously, internet, Google is there, and they are googling it. They are going for YouTube and all, and that's why they some of the videos, they are just leading them on a wrong track. So that's why we are there to guide them. We should provide correct, I mean, proper curriculum should be framed age appropriate, then only we can achieve our target. This is what I just want to say. Thank you.
Beautiful, ma'am. Meenakshi, ma'am, it is really so well said. We need a curriculum. That was the last sentence I think you've said. A curriculum needs to be made, which we have never thought of before. And children learning from peer, children learning from Googling it out. Rather than that, it is the responsibility of the parents and the teachers to teach them. And another very important thing that you've said is even we can teach them through comics. Beautiful. And training of the teachers is something what is required. Now, if so well expressed by all the speakers. Shudeshna ma'am, if I could ask you, like when a child starts first the periods, and many a times we have seen, as we have discussed today also, that they are not well prepared. So if I ask you a very straight question, in your schools as a leader, have you given such an opportunity to your teachers to teach about what is menstrual cycle or prepare your children for, say for example, whichever stage you feel is justified, be it sixth, seventh, or fourth? Have you ever done it in your institutions to ensure that your children are educated and well prepared?
Frankly speaking, ma'am, in our school, in my school, what we have done, again, I'm telling you, separately with girls, we have done
Yeah.
classes 6, 7. In fact, we have taken sessions with class 4, 5 also,
Oh, it's
separately with girls.
such a beautiful confession. I think that is all most of us did. We have expressed it also in a manner. Even we have realized, I mean, all these days we have thought that it should be dealt
Today,
separately.
separately we have done it, but today I have decided that we have to include boys. Have
Great,
to.
great. I think our
Now,
purpose is solved. Such a discussion on such a platform,
yeah.
exactly that is what we have thought of. And I think if four of us, five of us started, and that's how it's going to start. Great. Thank you
If I
so
can
much,
add to
Suresh
that,
Raman.
if I can add to
Yes,
that,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Suchitra
Please
ma'am.
go ahead.
In
Yes.
fact, when we talked about sex education and bringing about an awareness, this was an initiative which I started a couple of years back in our school, right from, as I said, age appropriate. So what I, preach, I practice. So starting from class KG, first standard, we show them videos, so a good touch, bad touch, and these kind of things, so that what happens in, and yes, Madhumita ma'am, there was a lot of resentment. Some parents did come up and they ask us,
Yes.
why are you doing this at such a young age? I said, no, it is required because, unless and until a small child is able to know the difference between a good touch and bad touch, how does he communicate to the parent or to anybody else? So that is why it is imperative, I would say, that the parent, the teachers, all the stakeholders, they need to be equally involved. Only then can a step be taken in the right direction. So as I said, we did face a lot of hurdles, brickbats, people saying that, the parents came up to me and said that, in fact, another principal came up to me and she said that, in KJ, isn't it too young? I said, it's just a small thing, just an introduction, and they need it. So, yes, it is a matter of time, till by, I think everybody should take these steps, these baby steps, I would say, towards ensuring that, education is done at all levels in an appropriate manner.
In
So well
fact,
said,
ma'am,
ma'am. Yes, yes.
Can
Please
I
carry on,
add
ma'am.
what into this?
I have noticed in class 7, one of my boys, he has noticed the stain in girl's skirt,
Hmm.
in his friend's skirt, and he only
That's
suggested you
that's
just
nice.
go to washroom and find out. That means his parents have, I think, inducted, and in a way he is sympathetic to it, what I felt.
Very
And
nice. In fact, Sudeshna ma'am, you will have to agree if I talk of this particular incident. So it is one parent, one child. Therefore,
yes,
as a school leader, if as a teacher, I think we can address the mass. Those children who are not as lucky to have such communications at home, I think we can do that also. Very
yes,
nice.
yes,
Very well said.
May I
Uh,
just please add
yes,
on to
yes,
something
yes,
to this?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
please go ahead.
to talk about when we are talking about education in terms of sexual health and hygiene, and as just now Shada ma'am has pointed out that we start educating the child at a very tender age, KG, the
Yes,
kindergartens.
yes, yes,
There's a
yes.
beautiful film called Komal. I would
Hmm.
request all our audience, please do see. It's just a 10-minute film available in both Hindi as well as English.
in
It is
Yeah.
English.
available on YouTube. Komal is mandatorily to be shown to all the children. It is
Hmm.
an animation movie which talks
Yes.
very clearly about good touch and bad touch. And
That touch, yes.
parents who are here, don't wait for the school to start the education.
Hmm.
Right after this program, you can just call your little one, make him or her sit next to you, and watch this together. It is
Yes.
such a revelation, not only for your child, but for yourself. I'm repeating, the name of the film is Komal, Komal. Now, coming again, I will, I love talking. I'm sure you've understood by this time.
Yes, ma'am, it's an
Uh,
important thing. It's an important topic, so we would love to listen from you.
Yeah.
a 12-year child in Uganda, I'm sure it is common to our country as well.
Hmm.
When first time started staining in
Hmm.
primary school, we were talking about education in class 6, 7, and 8. This is primary school. She's in class 4. She starts staining herself. And what happens? Just like me, she must have thought that she's going to die, but she's a smarter one. So what she did is she used toilet paper.
Oh.
She never told anybody. She used toilet paper. Now the teacher has called her to the blackboard to write something, and sadly, that slips off. So you can understand the physical tension, the anxiety,
Hmm.
the trauma that something wrong has happened. There are cases where children of such backward countries, low
Areas.
income countries, developing countries,
Hmm.
they are using used, thrown away rags
Hmm.
because the family doesn't find it important enough to give proper disposable sanitary napkins to the children. Another thing which I have noticed in plenty of schools, that the education on menstrual health and hygiene is triggered by a different thought altogether. The sweeper comes and complains, "Madam, ये बच्चे जो है कमोड में फेंकते हैं अपना napkins."
Very, very,
So
very
we
right
find,
thing that we have touched.
yeah. So we find the necessity that, okay, then the things are not going to be clean enough. Let us tell the children where to throw them. And their disposal is important because either they are thrown or they are burned, which are absolutely not eco-friendly. In some of our schools, we find that every washroom is not equipped by a dustbin. Of course, it was there once upon a time.
Now it's
It
gone.
got it broken, not
Mm.
replaced.
Mm.
So where does the child throw her sanitary napkin? So as school leaders, before we get up from our chair and move on to a classroom and tell our girls that, look, child, this is not the way to throw your sanitary napkins, we must ensure that the washrooms in the school are adequately stocked with the dustbins. They have got the water facility and they have the privacy where the child can be feeling safe in the school environment. That would
So
be all from
beautiful.
my side.
Very, very nice. Very nice. Meenakshi
So,
ma'am, are you there? Could we listen from you something more on our preparedness as school teachers, school leaders, as Madhumita ma'am was saying, just a continuation of that. How many of us have got disposable systems where we have this disposable vending machines for our sanitary napkins? Meenakshi ma'am, are you there? I think ma'am has not been able to speak. Anyone who would like to deal with this particular statement of the question?
practically speaking, very few. Very
Yeah,
few
hi.
schools
Very
Very
think
few.
few. Very few.
Very few.
it's an
So
investment. It's an
it's an
investment.
It
It
is
investment
an
and
does
it's
not
a right
investment. Correct.
investment, I think.
Yeah.
it does not feature in the list of essential requirements when the management sits down and prepares its annual budget.
Absolutely. It takes a back seat completely.
And the best
So
is,
much so
the
it disappears
comments
out of
are
people's minds. Yeah.
yeah, and the beautiful comments. So we see that even everyone has this in their mind. Someone says that even male teachers can take a class. Why not? If he
Yeah.
can
Why
take
not?
Why
physics,
not?
chemistry, biology, why not this subject also? So
Mm.
general awareness is there. However, we shy it out and we try to avoid such discussion. I think,
Just
as
just
Sudeshna
because
ma'am
of
also
taboo
said,
only.
yes. So it is our responsibility, it is yours, it is mine, it is all four of us talking to today, and of course, all those who are listening to play our roles and ensure that we educate our children, we educate our teachers, we form groups, we have the master trainers so that they can train even more number of teachers and maybe select a few students who can be the pioneer ones who can go ahead and talk to the children if required, having a club sort of thing when we have so much of
Oh, yes.
environmental club and others, why not this club? And then definitely give the opportunity to those who know and take care and of course spread it. Thank you so much. It was really
Thanks.
such a wonderful discussion. Very less, I'll be very open to you. In the initial days when I just thought of having this discussion after Arun sir spoke to me, I approached and the first principal I spoke to, she said, "Not now. The topic is a little difficult. बाद में कभी आएंगी." I was very surprised, and after that, four of you was one by one, and I was all having positive replies. But I was quite surprised to have a no from one of us, a principal of
Yes.
a good school. That means shows what I wanted to say is it's not only she, whoever she is, it is that it's there in us also in many number of people. So therefore, we need to ensure that we are bold enough to tackle such a situation and help out hundreds of children so that there is no dropout. There is no one thinking that I'm going to die. There is no one being kept aside and thinking what has happened to me and have a bad
Mm.
day. I mean, have a bad week, in fact. And definitely in the process, we need to educate our parents, we need to educate
If
our
you give
students
me
too.
just two
Yeah.
minutes, I
Yes,
would
yes, please.
like to extend, yeah, I would just like to extend this discussion beyond the menstrual hygiene. If we are talking about sexual education in the school,
Yes.
what we have been limiting ourselves is to, safe sex. Very bold people do in the discussions, but it is important. Our social structure is changing, and particularly now when we are Our children are global citizens, so are we. Now, in today's date and time, we as school leaders who used to tell the child that please do not use a mobile phone. Now, the mobile phone is enabling us to carry out this process of education.
Yes.
So, with
Lifesaver. Yes.
everything, there is a possibility that our child is being otherwise educated in different manner of sexual orientations because we are not openly talking to them. Therefore, it just not limiting ourselves to discussion of menstrual health and hygiene, which is a very, very important topic. Hence, it is the topic for the day. I would
Yeah.
also like, I don't know, perhaps someday we will be bold enough to discuss certain topics like having fewer sexual partners, delay in intercourse, or all types of sexual preventive measures, because we can deny verbally, we can deny, no, 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 in my school nobody does all that, but in our heart of hearts we are not very sure whether
Yeah,
anybody does,
very, very
and
true.
we are certain that children do, and that is the reason there are so many cases of abortion,
Yes.
of premarital pregnancy, of unsafe sex, of STDs. So it is time that we take a bold step and talk to our children. If it is difficult for us to have a face-to-face conversation, we can adopt a mode of non-verbal communication. I shouldn't say non-verbal, it is a non-personal. Like just a little while back, ma'am was talking about comic books. I also could talk about films, animations, which can show
Yeah.
the pros and cons. Let us make our children well aware, let them decide after knowing the facts and not going by
Yes.
myths. So
That's true.
schools should
Let them
implement
know the
policies.
consequences even.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
even if you go to talk to maybe your grandchild and tell her this is how it is supposed to be done, maybe the child is 2 years. The first question is going to be why. We
Yeah.
never asked. We never asked. So this why has to be answered. And we are expecting a 15-year-old just to listen to me if I tell him or her that please do not have sex with your girlfriend or boyfriend. That is not going to work out. So let us make them, aware of things, and then I'm sure we can make a proper, informed decision. The schools should implement policies that foster supportive environment for sexual health and education, and use health content that is medically accurate. Not just because I don't feel it is right, you should not do. It should be proved with medical accuracy and facts and figures. It should be developmentally appropriate, which we were talking about, age appropriate.
Okay.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be talking about sexuality with a 1 year old child or a class one
Mm.
child, sorry.
Yeah.
But definitely, a high school student, we should be open enough to discuss certain things. It should be culturally inclusive, because today, as I was just now telling, that we do not only belong to our own social setup, we belong to the global social setup. So it has to be
Yes.
culturally inclusive, and it
Inclusive.
should be grounded to science. We should tell the child the science behind this entire learning and study.
Process.
Thank you so very much. I
Yeah.
would also thank the audience for your patience, time, and listening, and my learned colleagues for tolerating me for such a long time.
Thank you so much. In
Thank
fact,
you.
I would like to thank each one of you to give your insight. And as said, I would also request, yes, let us ourselves first change our mindset and go bold. And definitely, we would reach out. What, ma'am, Sharda, ma'am, you've been doing already. I would request you to spread it out in a bigger
Definitely.
environment so that
Platform.
everyone
Yes.
gets to know. Sudeshna ma'am has already told that she's going to change her stance and do it. And of course, Madhumita and myself, we will also ensure that we take bigger step and
Yes.
not only speak like the way we did, but reach out to those and educate our students for all the preparedness of definitely the menstrual cycle, then to how to take care of the hygiene level, and definitely which leads to further discussions, as you have very rightly said, sex education, where, how much, whom, and everything. Thank you so much. I would like to thank
Thank you.
Pinkishi for giving such wonderful space where we all could speak our mind And I'm sure all those who have heard it, there are beautiful comments they've heard. And of course, it's going to reach out to many so that everyone gets to know what is to be done. Thank you so much. And we'll
Thank you.
definitely try and meet sometimes in with some other topic with Pinkishi and take it further. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Sudeshna. Thank you, Madhumita. Thank you, Shada ma'am. And Meenakshi
Thank
madam. Thank you so much. Kudos.
you.
All
Okay.
take care. Take care. Be safe.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God.
Nice one.
Thank you. I think you can all leave now.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.